Now, the head of Britain's Police Chief Council has declared the force institutionally racist and called for a redesign of national policies surrounding policing. Chief Constable Gavin Stephens says racial discrimination operates at a fundamental level in the UK's police forces and that too little progress has been made to reform this.
Stephens' comments are at odds with those of Met Police Chief Mark Rowley, who last year refused to accept the term institutionally racist following Baroness Louise Casey's damning report into UK policing. Still with us to discuss this and more of today's leading stories is former government advisor James Price. I mean, this is quite a thing to say. Alex and I were discussing this earlier. I mean, not to be taken lightly. This is the leader of the organisation that represents Britain's police chiefs. He basically says, all my colleagues and all the coppers in this country are institutionally racist. Now, you know, that's a fair enough criticism to make. It's a very serious allegation to make. And I just wonder here, far be it from me to exonerate the police. There's so many problems with the police. I'm sort of almost notorious for knocking the police. But I just wonder here, well, have we got yet another left-wing woke copper saying, oh, we're all racist? You know, that's what left-wingers, they're obsessed with racism. And is this an example of just that? Or do you think there's something in what he's saying that coppers are institutionally racist?
What does this phrase mean, institutionally racist? That's the first thing to challenge, right? So in all law for many, many, many years now in this country, it's been illegal to discriminate against people based on the colour of their skin, right? That's something we all think is very important, obviously. It doesn't quite work sometimes now when some internships are only open to people of certain races, and that's a problem kind of maybe going in the other way in some areas. But what does institutionally racist mean? There's nothing in any police rulings that say you have to treat white people this way, black people that way. Not in there at all. So this means that in people's hearts and in their minds of all the coppers, that they're just deep down, all of them secretly racist? Is that what he's trying to say?
Yeah,
horrible allegation.
I agree with you. This whole idea of unconscious bias and institutional racism, it doesn't ever sort of generate any sort of receipts to prove itself. But I think what people would say when they make allegations about racism within the police force, and this is indeed what he has said, is black people should no longer experience disproportionate use of force. And people often look at things like the statistics around stop and search. And there's always two sides to this argument, whether or not actually pulling back stop and search because it became so controversial has led to an uptick in knife crime, or whether it has been used wrongly in some cases against people based upon their ethnicity.
Yeah, I think the stop and search one is the flashpoint about it. And the only way we can get to an answer is to have as much data as is humanly possible put out there for everybody to see and to analyse and have a look at. You know, is it the case that too many black people are being unfairly searched? Is it the case that in those cases more knives and things like that get found? Let's just let the data do the talking. I think that's the only answer we can do for this. But the broad problem is that if everything now is at various points being accused of being racist, it really devalues the term, right? In the last couple of years, you've had countryside as racist, golf, I think, has been called right. All these things, and if you start to devalue the actual problem that still exists in pockets of this country where people are unfairly treated because of the colour of their skin or for any other reason, then we don't get any better at fixing the problem. And of course, then we're all encouraged to look at people solely through, well, I might offend you because you're that, I might upset you with this, rather than looking at the content of people's character.
I think it actually engenders a degree of bitterness. I think the constant allegations of people being racist, if anything, is probably creating an uptick in a sense of anger that some people actually have benefits and privileges because of being from minorities.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I think, every time that you get somebody who gets some award based on that, I think, well, did I really actually deserve this, or am I just ticking a box or filling a quota? Same with when women are highlighted for reasons. Well, did I get this because I'm a woman or because I'm actually the best person for the job? And conversely, I think you find a lot in the corporate world that because middle managers, for example, now are so worried about saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing, rather than having a quiet, constructive word with a colleague who might be from an ethnic minority, they immediately go, right, I've got to go down the formal channel, the formal route, make everything formalised, which again, as you say, embeds that problem a lot more as well. It's a horrible
what
situation.
he's getting at is that, in his view, nothing has changed since, not enough has changed since the Stephen Lawrence tragedy. Maybe I'm not accusing him of this, but God spare us woke coppers.